Hello, everybody. It's Kristina Dennis. I am the Transformational Self Empowerment Master, and I'm coming to you on what day is it? It's a Wednesday. I've been told a lot of things about Wednesday. We all know the silly hump day thing, but I've also been told it's one of the hardest days in our system because it's the furthest from a weekend that we tend to fight with ourselves more, fight with our children more, fight with others more. I don't know, just a thought. You can tell me what you think. Hello, Kim. Hello, Rebecca. I wanted to come in and talk a little more about what I talked about yesterday and some of the activity steps and the action steps in regards to making changes with your life to obtain this transformational self-empowerment that I am talking about that's become my life's work. To give people an option to be able to approach things in their life with the confidence and also a real true understanding of ourselves, to create harmony, emotional harmony, so that we can have the life regardless of what our beginnings were, regardless of what we were handed. And I like to go a little deeper in some of these areas than maybe you might be comfortable with. So we're going to start slow. And yesterday we talked about starting where you are, how important it is to actually know where you are before you plan where you want to go. And I know that that can seem silly to people. And yesterday we talked a little bit about that. It's kind of obvious. But the truth of the matter is, isn't it true that as mothers or working women or, leadership, men, it doesn't really matter, that we really know people better than ourselves? I certainly know a lot of moms that know exactly what their children's favorite colors are. They know what their children's triggers are. They know what their children's meals are, their favorite meals, how far they've gone, how far they can push them, and they don't know that about themselves. I'm sorry that you have a sick baby, but thank you, sweetie. Give her kisses. We all know our children better than ourselves. We have all, or our spouses better than ourselves, especially as we get into these deeper relationships, or maybe we come out in our 20s and we really don't know who we are. We have an idea of who we want to be. We've picked up characteristics from mentors. We've picked up people that we want to emulate, and that's not all bad. But eventually, you have to have your own life. I think a codependent's nightmare is, dying and having somebody else's life flash before their eyes. And maybe that's a crude joke, but it's true. So mentors are good, that they can't replace what our value systems are. Do you know your children better than yourselves? Do you know your spouses better than yourselves? Do you know your employees better selves, or your customers better than you know yourself? I know that when I started this road of exploration and change, like I said, around the age of 26, 27, I had an idea of who I thought I needed to be. I had an idea of what my personality traits were. I realize now that a lot of that was bravado. And it was a skill set that I had learned in order to survive. And it didn't really serve my nervous system, and it didn't really serve me as a person that I enjoyed being part of this world. And that's why, I turned to alcohol and, bad relationships and different things. It's one of the reasons. What I want to talk about is self-awareness, and why I feel that it's so important to start with some of the easy questions and the rest of the exercise, which I didn't discuss yesterday. And if you didn't see yesterday's video, go back and watch it for a few minutes, because it's a real nice, soft, comfortable approach to how to start down this road of learning about yourself, also, gaining the self-transformation, the transformational self-empowerment that I talk about. So one of the things that I learned when I was doing some research is that self-awareness is something that most of us think we have and very few of us do. Research shows that anywhere from 10 to 15% of people are truly self-aware, whereas about 95% of us would say that we are. And so what that means is that on a good day, a very good day in the world, that 20% of us maybe 15% of us, let's say, are doing well, and that means 85% of us are lying to ourselves about lying to ourselves, which is really sweet and truthful and understandable and quite funny. How many of us know people that feel like they really understand themselves, and we know that they don't have a clue of boundaries? They don't have any idea of how to make things work, how to make themselves, comfortable in their own skin, and those people are uncomfortable to be around. Well, a lot of us may be more uncomfortable to be around than we realize. The other thing that was confirmed to me when I was doing research, and I talked about it yesterday, that the why is not nearly as important as the what. And that's why we start with those questions. Some of those questions, I think I dropped my paper, hold on. I did, and I even wore my glasses today so I could read it. Some of the helpful questions to ask yourself that are listed in my free guidebook on transformationalselfempowerment.com are your name, age, occupation, relationship status, home, education, current employment, education. Again, I guess I felt it necessary to say twice. Talents, spirituality, religious affiliations, hobbies, sports, television shows, games that you played, clubs that you belong to. Now, that might seem like, well, that's dumb. I know that right off the top of my head. But you know what? Until we get really connected with ourselves again, it's going to be hard to move forward on this work. And like I said, most of us keep other information about everybody else in the top of our head, and we forget that we are the ones that are going to have to operate this life, and that we are the ones that are responsible for our own happiness and our own what. So once I figured out what my what was, and I read this yesterday, or I kind of tried to read it. It says, I am Kristina Dennis. My friends call me Christy. I'm a 49-year-old woman, and I have one 14-year-old son. I live in a 3-bedroom home, and I'm in a committed relationship. I'm a self-empowerment master who's been supporting others for decades, helping them to become the best version of themselves. I currently own my own coaching and mentoring business, as well as public speaking out of Southern California. I'm spiritually connected to people, things, places that matter most to me. And, you know, that last line can be interpreted any way anybody else wants to interpret it. But to me, it means that I have a deep connection to things that matter, and that I prefer to have longer conversations, deeper conversations, and take in the world at a level that is important to me, so that I can really see where I can add something to it. I found that after a lot of years of running around in circles, it was much better for me to run a few little laps and really see the scenery as I'm running them. So I want you to take some time to write your own sentence, but I don't want to leave it right there. The last part of the exercise that I detail, and this is where we start getting some other people in the game. And this is where I would say the skin, you put some skin in your game. When you're finished with your writing, it's time to share this information out loud with someone else. That's going to keep us honest. That's going to keep us concise. And that's also going to put a line in the sand that says, from this day forward, I recognize on this day, February 27th, this is where I am and this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing, not why am I doing it. That we will work on. The reason why we read it out loud to somebody else is, one, we all need accountability partners, and we all need someone to know us. A lot of us live in isolation. A lot of us, I was thinking about this today, that when we put on a showroom or we set up a house to be shown, to be sold, we put only the best up there. And don't we do that when we're staging our own lives for the public consumption? Social media, with our relationships, with our families, with the school, wherever you're at. Autism ripped all of those bandages off for me. And it gave me no, well, I guess I should say I chose not to live it under wraps. And I chose to live it without any true anesthesia, and just to move forward in it. I knew that that was the way that I was going to be able to adjust and not be so alone. I had to start including and showing people, including other people in my life and my son's life. And I had to start showing who I am, and my misgivings as well as my blessings. So telling somebody else is going to bring somebody else in, and you're going to declare it and talk about yourself and put yourself first and forward in your mind. That's where the magic begins. And that's what we must continue to do for ourselves. We must reach out to other people. I have been lucky enough to work with hundreds of beautiful, beautiful women, and a few really, really enlightened men. But generally speaking, I tend to connect to my sisterhood. And I know there are a lot of us out there that have, missed years or decades living other people's lives and doing things that, we're not sure exactly why we did them. So I want you to start today with where you are, because that's activity step number 1. And that's going to help you move forward into that transformational self-empowerment that I want for each and every person that I come across. If you haven't heard it today, you're really, truly 1 in a million. And it's time for you to start owning that and showing us. All right. Have a great Wednesday. Take care. Oh, I thought my computer was touchscreen. How many people do that? It's not.